Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Dr. Cloud Show, and I'm so glad that you have joined us. Whenever you're joining us, you might be somebody that just can't sleep, right? It's 3 in the morning, and you were perusing your phone, and here we are. Or you could be calling at the live hour, which is when you can call in. So, either way, we're glad you're here. Let me give you, if you are joining us right now in the live hour, let me give you the number. It is 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774. Thank you for all the compliments that you will send to me because I actually got the number right today. That shows that improvement is possible. Humans can change. 844-940-2774. Of course, it took a system. I always tell you guys, if you're going to get better, what do you got to do? If you're failing on your own, you need to add some kind of structure from the outside. So, look how smart I am. Look what I did. Da-da. I put it right here on that, and now I got it. 844-940-2774. Wouldn't it be nice if all of life and all of life's problems were that easy to solve? You do it with a sticky note, which, that might be a good idea. That might be a good idea. Why don't you take a sticky note? Now, this won't be appropriate for everybody. Some of you can get away with this. Take a sticky note and just write up there, how you'd like to be treated and put it on your forehead. And then, the person in your life doesn't pay attention to you. You could say, I exist or something like that. Because sometimes, as we talk about on the show, we're not saying with our words, so I guess we need a billboard, but we want you to grow past those fears and get to a place where you express yourself. And that leads us into a little bit of our topic for the day is how we express ourselves. Because if you do not express yourself, then you might be on an express train headed somewhere that you don't want to go because you weren't visible. And we need to be visible. People need to see our treasures, is what I like to call them. If you think about a boundary, is a property line. Okay, in any property, you have a property line, and that's what you own, and no one else can come in and take away from you, or control, or change, or manipulate without your permission. Okay, that's your property. It's your personhood. Now, in the real world, what the heck is that? In the physical world, property lines are pretty easy to see, right? You see a fence around your property, or you see a wall around your house or your apartment. And we know outside of that wall is not yours, but inside is, or outside that fence is not yours, but inside is. Well, that's the physical world. But what about the real world, the one that counts, which is the non physical world, which is a whole nother topic, by the way, but the non physical world, who you are as a person, your heart, mind, soul, and strength, as Jesus referred to it. And what does that consist of? Well, I think it consists of a lot of treasures. Treasures. And the treasures are this list of things that, like when Jesus said, don't cast your pearls before swine, don't give what is holy to dogs, they'll trample you. These are your treasures that exist in your soul. Let me give you a quick list. Your feelings, your attitudes, your behaviors, your choices, your limits, your loves, your thoughts, your desires, okay? Your values. That's the real you. So back to what I was saying earlier. Those can't be seen like, you know, the physical things can be seen. Right? If you break in somebody's house, I mean, you can see where that boundary is and the alarm goes off, or, something's supposed to stop them. But in the immaterial, the invisible world of your relationships, sometimes people don't know that they're stepping into your property. Okay. Or they might know it, not care. They control your feelings, negate your feelings, ignore your feelings. or maybe don't even know what they are. And that's why I started with we have to live lives of expressing your treasures to make them visible. So in a good relationship, what happens? We're neighbors, right? Our property lines are next to each other. And if somebody's safe, what do? You open up the fence and say, "Come on over." They go, "Come look at my treasures. Let me tell you what they are." And you go in, you pull out, "This is an heirloom. See, my grandmother gave me this." You go in the drawer and you pull out this earring, right? Well, what about the invisible treasures? You invite safe people into your house, your soul, and you say, "Here's my treasures. Here's my feelings. Here's my attitude about this. Here's what I did yesterday. Here's the choices I'm making. Here's my dreams, my wishes, my desires, my talents." Then we get to know each other, and then we start to shape those with permission. Somebody can say to me, "That ring's a little dusty. You need to polish it up." Meaning, "You know what? I think you're a little amped up over there. Maybe you tone that anger down a little bit." "Oh, thank you. Now my ring looks better because I've invited a safe person onto my property to help me polish up." It's called feedback. It's called love. It's called correction, and a wise person receives it. Okay, but remember, I'm talking about the kind of people you let into your yard here. So, what I said earlier was it's how we express it. How we express it. And I want you to think about one little, um, let's call it, what can we call this? One little, I don't know what I'm looking for. One little item about how you express it. Okay, when someone steps over the fence into your property or wounds you, or hurts that or whatever, then ask yourself, is the way I'm expressing it going to have the greatest chance to lead to something helpful? Or is it going to take it in the other direction? Okay. We all have to express ourselves about our treasures. But if we're expressing them like our desires in a controlling and demanding and entitled way, not going to lead to anything good. You may get what you want, but you're not going to engender a lot of affection on the other end. Okay. Or when we're violated in some way, if we're expressing that violation in, really destructive anger and judgmentalism and contempt, what Gottman called the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the things that ruin a relationship. When you're judgmental and have contempt and rage and looking down on the person, as opposed to in love saying, "You know what, I need to talk to you about something because that didn't feel good. That didn't help." See, that could lead to something. Rarely does anger and judgmentalism and contempt lead to any resolution of any problem. It just causes a different problem. So think about this as a definition of dysfunction. Dysfunction does not mean that we have problems. Everybody has problems. Everybody. We all have imperfections. We all make mistakes. To me, dysfunction, that's just imperfection. That's just being human. Dysfunction to me is this. It's when we apply actual effort to address the problem and we make the problem worse. That's dysfunction. It's like when a couple has a disagreement and they start to talk about it, and the way they're talking about it creates way more of a rift and injury than the original problem. That's dysfunction. When a kid's got a problem, a parent goes in to correct it, but the way they tried to correct it created much bigger drama, broken relationship, and disheartedness, and is that a word? They're disheartened by it. Than the original problem. That's dysfunction. So think about when we are expressing ourselves, how we might express ourselves. in ways that can be heard or most likely to be heard, or even if they're not heard, would still be considered taking the higher road rather than destructive expressions. It doesn't help. Okay. One of my favorite verses, the wrath of mankind, the wrath of people, the wrath of humans, the anger of humans, the Bible says, does not accomplish the righteousness of God. If you're trying to make something right, screaming at it ain't gonna make it better. It's basically the paraphrasing. So think about your expressions. In the tongue lies the power of life and death, blessing and curse, right and wrong, light and darkness. Watch how you say things. Doesn't mean you don't address problems. We're all for that. It's just how we do it. How we do it is a big deal. Okay, what is our number? 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774 is the number. I should have gotten more coffee with starting at this incredibly early hour for us West Coasters, right? Actually, I like this. You guys send us some messages about, the time of the program. If this earlier time works better for you or the later time works better for you. I mean, it sits there 24/7, but who cares? I don't know. Don't know till you express it. But don't do it with anger. Okay, let's go to the phone calls. We're going to talk to Philip, who's got a question about confidence. Confidence, so important. We have to have it for life to work, right? Philip, what's going on?
Absolutely. Hey, honor to speak with you, Mr. Cloud.
Well, good to talk to you too. I'm glad you called. I went to West Virginia one time, and it was so beautiful. I mean, I've been there a few times, but what a beautiful place.
It is. We're from Texas originally, and sometimes I wonder what made my grandparents even flock there when the Northeast is beautiful as it is. Nothing wrong with Texas, though.
Good. No. Well, if you're a golf fan, there's a lot of history up there in West Virginia, but we won't go there. What is your question?
Yeah. So I have a question on confidence. I have a lot of internal struggle at times, especially the last 3 years of my life. I've been on a healing journey, pursuing healing through small men's groups, stuff like that. So my self-awareness is steadily increasing, but I've noticed along with that comes a lot of painful realizations. But I have a tendency to...
do you, hold on a second, because you're exactly right. Self-awareness does lead to painful realizations, right?
Yes.
I just had knee surgery. Hacking your leg open with a knife to reveal painful revelations, what's underneath there, that's really painful. But when the doctor did it, they gave me some anesthesia, right? And there were some pain meds involved. So I just want to make sure, do you have enough anesthesia and pain medicine around you while you're getting these revelations to where people are loving you in your imperfection and laughing with you and going, can you believe I did that? And where you're normalizing being imperfect so it's not so painful. Are you getting that?
Yeah. Yes. From some, men, unfortunately, some like in the home, sometimes that stuff's lacking, like with my wife and stuff, but that's part of the process,
Okay. All right.
You were speaking of dysfunction earlier, that's what seems normal. It's kind of hard to step out of that, what seems normal when it's dysfunctional. So it's, hurt people. That's kind of what I've come from. So, but yes, I am getting some of that. But I tend to see a struggle with me, a pattern with job loss and just relationship struggles, just fractures in a lot of relationships as I'm growing. And so I guess my question would be, sometimes I wonder if I'm just a lazy bum or just, or is it really my brokenness that keeps me from seeing this world full of opportunity? because I tend to see it as really this place of just four walls closed off. I mean, people tell me I'm outgoing, I'm friendly, but
you are.
I think that maybe.
I mean, at least in the
well,
last however many minutes you have been, we've had no problem, right? So
Well, awesome. Thank
what
you.
is the question? What's the question?
What would you recommend someone do or continue to do that struggles with confidence? And sometimes should I just be okay with where I'm at in this season of my life?
Well, what other option
I think sometimes
do you have
I may
at
be
any
really,
given moment? I mean, we have to be okay with where we are, not okay in the I'm
yeah,
hitting the parking brake and I'm going to stay here, but this is where I find myself, and
yeah,
I'm going to accept that with a neutral
yeah,
tone. So we have to do that, okay, right? But
yeah.
the question is what?
Well, you're answering it as you talk. Sometimes I think I'm asking myself questions that can't be answered, or that I just need to be okay with where I'm at. I sometimes want to be perfect in my recovery, and I just
I
have
don't
to
know. How
accept
can
where
you
I'm
be
at.
perfect in an imperfect process?
Yeah,
You know how in recovery, if you go to recovery circles like AA and all that, um, you know how they define perfection? Are you in a 12-step group?
Well, you probably heard of it. I've heard your name. Well, I don't want to name drop. That's something I'm trying to work on, not find an association through name dropping. That's part of my recovery. But it's called. If you don't, can I mention the name of the group I'm with?
I, have they asked you not to? I don't know what your agreements on confidentiality are.
Mm. Well, they're publicly. They're on YouTube. They're a public group. I'm not going to talk about specific people or anything, but
You can.
no,
I mean,
the group is Seven Pillars. That's the recovery group that I've been with.
okay. So in a lot of recovery circles, the last thing they say at every meeting is keep coming back. It works.
Yeah.
Now I want
Yeah,
you to
keep
think
getting
about
up.
that. What?
Yeah,
What?
keep getting up. You may fall, but just keep getting up. Yep.
Well, that's different. That's true too. But what I'm saying is very different than that. What I'm saying is they say keep coming back. It works. And what they're saying is keep plugging in to the process, to the groups, and to the process of the steps. It works. The plan works if you work the plan. Now, here's why I bring that
Yeah.
up. What they don't say is, now don't go out there and use tomorrow. Don't go out there and act out sexually. Don't go out there and drink. Don't go out there and don't go out there and screw up. Point being that certainly you don't want to go out there and screw up. But the thing that's going to empower us getting closer to perfection is realizing our imperfection and engaging in a process that takes imperfection into account. So I want you to accept where you are, and where you are today is this is where I am today, and I accept my imperfections and limits and all of that. And I'm going to keep working on them and hope to have less tomorrow. And see, that's
Yeah.
never going to change. So the fantasy is like, I'm going to get to a place where I don't feel like, and I'm not like I am today. Well, you're not going to be like you are today, but you're still going to have the evaluation of where you are on that day problem if you tend to see it negatively.
Yeah.
Follow me?
I follow you. Yep. Yeah, we're never going to fully arrive until we get out of this world.
Well, and I would like for you to redefine fully arrive as being in the process, because you can fully arrive today. You really can. You can fully arrive if
Wow.
you define fully arrive as being 100% in and staying faithful to the process.
Yeah.
That's why
Okay.
everything's about staying plugged in. So anyway, was that your question? I don't know what your question was.
Yeah, it was really a vague question. I'm king of vagueness. Sometimes I'm so deep, I'm kind of lost in my deep thoughts. So it's not you, it's me.
Well,
But
I know it's not me because I'm not the one answering the question, asking the question, but it may be me not understanding it well. So I just want you to put it in one sentence and let's see if we covered it. Your question is in one sentence
um,
with a
well,
question
my
mark at
question
the
was
end.
basically just how tips for someone who's struggling with confidence and
Okay.
struggling
All
with
right. Great.
relationships in the workplace.
Well, that's large. Um,
That
let
is
me
one.
give you
That is
let me give you the best formula for confidence. Also, I think this can help you. You mentioned two trails. One was jobs and one was relationships. Um, there's two ways of thinking out there in the world, and one of them doesn't work. And that is that we get confidence. And if you have self confidence, you can go do stuff. Okay. So you hear all these people saying, how can I build my self confidence? And you see parents laboring to pour self esteem into their kids, like talk them into somehow that they're wonderful and special, and you get a trophy for showing up, and everybody's that doesn't produce confidence. Okay, we don't get we don't get confident and then go out and do stuff. It is exactly the opposite. We go out and do stuff and we realize, oh, I can do that. Yeah, now I feel good about that. When you first started driving a car, you didn't feel confident. You came up to the, oh, car's coming, and you panic and all that. Well, you do it 10,000 times. Now you are very confident in driving, so much so you don't even think about it. That's
yeah.
confidence. So a toddler, you can't tell a toddler, you are a great walker, kid. You're the best walker in the world. I'm going to give you a try. I hadn't taken a step yet, right? And then they run
Yeah.
across the room. What they do is you encourage them, you make it okay to fall down, and you do encourage them and say, you can do this, you got this, come on. And then they start to take steps. And at some point, they're they have competency. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back and look at the wake, just like a boat leaves a wake behind it, right? You've got a wake behind you of work performance, okay, and relationship performance. Now, in that wake of both sides, there are going to be performance issues that had nothing to do with confidence as much as they had to do with competency. So, in other words, if we have a problem in a relationship because we're lacking skills, we yell, we scream, we get defensive, we have contempt, we avoid, we don't speak up. That's going to leave a trail of problems in relationships. So, how do you get confident about relationships? You build the skills. You work on the skills because everybody can learn skills. And when you learn the skills, then you can go into a conflict and you feel confident. I can have this conversation. Why? Because I know how to do it. I've learned how to do it. That's what I would encourage you to do. You want competence? Get competent. Does that help?
Wow. That's good. That's really
Focus
good.
on getting
Yep.
better. Focus on getting
Absolutely.
better. Don't focus on all this crap that people are trying to tell people. Like you can just fill your head with all of this stuff, and all of a sudden I'm Tiger Woods. No,
Yeah.
I'm just not. I got to go hit 500,000 golf shots, and then I'm going to stand up to that shot when it counts, and I'm going to feel like I got this. But not by telling myself I'm special or telling a kid they're special. Tell them they're loved and encourage them to get competent. Okay, hope that helps.
That does. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your call. Keep listening and hope to hear from you again. 844-940-2774. It's talking about skills building there. And if you want to take the next step in building those skills, both in your career life, the performance life, or your relationships, or the skills in getting healthy and overcoming stuff in life, go to this website. Go to boundaries.me. Boundaries.me. That is my world of come join me and learn. uh, what do we call this? Is it a library? Is it a portal? Is it a community? It's all the above. If you go to boundaries.me, that will let you give you the place to get in to find this library of skills building topics in relationships in life where we all need to get better. These are things that I work on all the time. And I work with high performers who work on these things all the time. Now I made them available to you in a simple subscription kind of platform. So go to boundaries.me to find that. Hope to have you there. Okay. 844-940-2774 is our number. And let's go to, is it Margie or Margie calling us from Florida?
Hello, Dr. Cloud. It's Margie.
Hey, Margie. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Well,
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Third time's a charm. I've been trying to call in for a while.
Oh, well, cool. Thank you for
Yeah, I actually should have called you 10 years ago, but well,
who
anyway.
knows? Maybe today I'll actually know something about what you're talking about. 10 years ago, I might have been an idiot about that topic. So we don't, maybe this is good timing.
No, I've been following you for a long time.
Well,
anyway.
Tell me how I can help.
Well, boundaries. I've done a lot of boundary work in my life, and boundaries work practically all over, except with your 88-year-old live-in mother. Now, I want to preface this.
My 88-year-old live-in mother?
My 88-year-old live-in mother.
Okay, hang on. We're going to do some boundaries work here. See, you got to the painful relationship. You wanted to toss it over the fence and give it to me, not my mother. Okay.
Oh no, it's my mother. It's my mother.
I want you to own this. All right.
Yes. I was talking in generalizations. Well, anyway, I want to preface this by I love my mom. I love my mom a lot.
Well, who would have their mother live in their house if they didn't love her? So good for you. God bless you for loving her.
Well, it's the single daughter that inherits the mom. But
yes.
She's been good. She's a great lady. But with boundaries as an adult, I'm 62, she's 88, living in the same home. Obviously, the aging process is going on for her and for me. And we have big boundary issues. And she just recently, well, not recently, I mean, it's very gradual, the early dementia thing, but nothing terrible going on. But I'm at the point where I've exhausted trying to set boundaries with her. Mom, you cannot come into the bathroom when I'm on the toilet. Mom, you cannot, come into the bathroom.
Is that because she doesn't care what you want, or is that her dementia? She can't remember it.
It's not her dementia. It's just this attitude of I'm your mother. I can do whatever I want.
She says that?
I gave birth to you. Yeah, I gave birth to you. I can see you naked.
She says that.
I'm 62 years old. Yes.
She said, no, I'm asking you a question. Does she say that, or that's kind of what you think?
Yes, quote unquote. These are things she says to me.
Amazing. Okay, so what's your question?
And, well, the question is, at this point, like I said, I've exhausted trying to work boundaries with her. The question is...
No. That sentence... If you mean exhausted, that you've done everything, that's I don't understand that.
Well, I've repeatedly have told her I would appreciate it if you didn't.
Well, hold on. You've done some things that haven't worked. Can we say
they haven't worked?
Okay.
Yes,
let's start
they haven't worked
because that's a problem to be solved.
No, the problem to be solved, I think, at this point is how do I talk to myself to be able to cope with this situation as she's continuing to age, as she's starting to get her little dementia and her forgetful moments. But
I would
they
make a
really don't have a lot.
distinction. That you're kind of talking about this kind of like it's a blended continuum. Okay, and I think there's two different parts here. Part of it
There
is
is.
where is mom making a choice to disrespect you, okay? And where does her brain not work? And so I think
It
those
is
are
two different
very,
things.
very, very different things.
Yeah.
And I want you to, that's going to help with the mindset. On the brain not working, I think you have to, that's why we have, you know, all sorts of even functional safeguards, against stuff to keep people from falling and keep them from catching the house on fire and watching them and this and there. That's one. But on the other side, if you're talking about on the not respecting you side, I think that's something you can address by just going to the next level of having some limits.
Okay, but what is the next level? They are two different things, and I think the main problem is the respect and recognizing me as an adult.
Wait, stop,
Um,
stop. She doesn't respect your adulthood.
Not really. I mean,
No, no, no,
she
no.
fails.
I'm hearing you. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not the problem because that's an is, right?
Okay.
The problem is how are you going to interface with that? That's the problem.
Exactly. And
Because
how
you
do
have
I
control
cope
over
with it?
that. Well, you cope with it when you limit it so that it doesn't cause you problems.
But the limits don't work. The limits are not working.
The limits that you have set don't work.
I mean,
Okay.
I
If I got somebody
asked.
walking into the bathroom and I don't want them in the bathroom, I lock the door.
Well, I've tried locking my bedroom door, and that turned into a very unhappy situation. I think it made her feel unsafe for her not to be able to get to me.
Hold on, hang on. I understand, but see, this is what I want to help you with. Please hear me on this. Every time I talk about what the issue is, it goes back to her response as becoming the problem. Okay. And that gives her incredible power to really define everything that's going on in the house by how she responds.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But,
So I want
it's
to
the
move the
mom thing.
power back. What?
It's the mom thing. If it were a sibling, if it were a boyfriend, if it were a husband, you'd say, "Hey, get out of here. Stop it." What
Wait a minute.
but
Wait
there's
a minute.
a
Whoa, whoa,
different
whoa.
way you have to
Stop it.
address your
Stop it.
parent.
Stop it, Margie. Come on. You did it again. You did it again. You disowned this whole thing. You said if it were a boyfriend, then you would say, no, not me. You could say, if it were a boyfriend or this thing, then Margie would say that, which tells me, okay, that's fine. You have the capacity to do this. But there's something about your relationship with your mother where you have not removed her out of the mother position, probably because she's never resigned. So you've got to fire her, right?
Oh, okay. Next
Why,
step.
why do you laugh at that? Talk to any teenager in the world, they're great at it. They go through a process where they finally get to be equals and say, thanks, mom, for that opinion, but I don't really want to do that. And that's what we call an adult. Your mother apparently has been a master at keeping you a psychological child in relation to her.
I do speak up to her. I do speak up and say those like what you just said.
You just
But
told me that you just
it doesn't
told
go
me
over.
that you act differently with her than you do with anybody else. So when you speak up
Well,
to her, well, what?
well, what I'm saying is the mother relationship is obviously a different relationship than a husband relationship or a friend relationship. Would you not agree that these are different kinds of relationships?
Of course, but that doesn't mean that they
Okay.
have. That doesn't mean in a governance sense.
Mhm.
See, what we're talking about here is autonomy of of personhood. Certainly, child relationship, parent relationship, all of that, all those relationships have different contexts and different dynamics. But if you're telling me that there is something in an adult parent relationship that you have to obey her in some way, then I'm saying that's just not only is it not true, it's against the entire design of all things human, and C, it leads to incredible pain and dysfunction. That's why I said you
Well,
got
I
to
don't
fire her.
obey her. I don't
Well,
obey
what?
her.
Okay, stop. Then what did you do when you locked the door? You said, "Mom, don't come in my room." She goes to your room. You locked the door, and then she threw a fit about it. What did you do? Did you continue locking the door?
I did not lock the door anymore, and it held her at bay for a while. She didn't come in for a while.
Okay, but
She
my
got the
point is,
message because after me repeatedly telling her verbally not to do this, when she
then
saw
you
I
just
locked the
then you
door,
just
she
then
knew
you
I
just
wasn't going to tolerate it anymore.
then you just proved my point. We just switched chairs. You proved my point that when you set your limit, see, talking wasn't working, right? So then you set a
Mhm.
limit that had real consequences and real teeth to it. It solved the problem.
Mhm.
So that I'm trying
Okay,
to
that sounds one
empower you.
problem. That solved one
Well,
problem. And
give
it
me
wore
another
off.
one. Give me an
It wore
unsolvable
off.
problem. Well, lock the door again. Come on. You keep flipping back and forth
Oh,
to mother having control.
it I never looked at it as her having control, but what I look at it as constant headbutting because she doesn't want to
It
back down
takes
from this mother position. So there's a lot of headbutting.
so
And
it takes two people to butt heads. Pull your head out of the head butting game. That's my point. You have control of you. So give me an example, and I got to get some other callers. I would love to talk to you for a long time because this is a great example of how all of us humans get so used to giving away choice that we feel like I don't have any choices, right? That's how it feels to
yeah.
you.
Well, the examples are no matter what I do, who are you talking to? Where are you going? The other
Okay,
night she said, "Who are you
stop,
talking?"
stop, stop,
I called
stop,
a
stop,
friend.
stop, stop, stop,
Who
stop.
are you talking to? I
Please
told her I
stop.
was talking
Please
to
stop for
President
1 second.
Trump.
Stop. You be mom. I'm going to be you. I'm going to role play with this with you, and then I got to go. But I want you to go back and think about everything we said. Okay, so you be mom.
Hmm.
I'm on the phone.
Okay. Who are you talking to?
Yeah, Susie, that's going really well. Now, you know what? I am going to go see that program. Come on, mom. Did mom?
No,
What
Mom
happened
is
to
still
mom?
here. She's waiting for you to hang up the phone so I can ask you again who you were talking to.
Okay. I thought she was okay. All right, Susie, got to go. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Okay. Hi,
Who was
mom.
that?
Oh, it was a
Who,
friend of mine. What are you doing for dinner?
which friend was it?
You know what, mom? I'm gonna tell you this one time, and then I'm not going to answer it anymore. Okay. Sometimes I have conversations that are private, and that me and my friends might be a doctor, might be the president of the universe. But sometimes I have private things and I don't reveal them to you. So I'm not going to answer it again. I was having a private conversation. So what can I help you with?
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the way you're going to be, then I'm moving out.
Oh, Okay. Where are you going?
I don't know. What do you hate
Okay.
me or something? This is what I go through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
what are you mom saying that? This is what I go through?
I'm Mom. Yes. What do you hate me or
Okay.
something? Why are you talking to me like that?
Mom, you know what? I got some stuff to do right now, and I haven't said I hated you or anything, so I'm really not going to get in that conversation. If you do, if you're really serious about not wanting to live here, then why don't we? I'm free about 11, and let's sit down and talk about that because you're welcome here. I want you here. If you don't want to live here, then we need to talk about that. I wasn't aware of that, but right now I got to go.
I have said those things. This is not Mom. This is Margie. I have
Okay.
said those things. And she has
Well, then
cooled her jets. But this is just a cyclic thing, Dr. Cloud. This just goes on and on, you know.
Stop. No, it
I
doesn't.
have
No, it doesn't.
brothers.
Margie, stop it. Stop it. Stop. Please listen to me. Please. It's a cyclic thing because you get re-engaged in it. You can continue to ignore it and deal with it differently and not have the conversation and lock the bathroom door, and it won't be a cyclic thing. Do you see what I'm saying? It sounds like you make a little progress, but she's tougher than you in being relentless, and she wears you down.
well, wearing down, yes, that's a good term.
Right. So I want you to get enough support to where somebody is going to outlast the other one. And you don't really have to worry about that timeline because I don't know what she's going to do in terms of be happy or sad. I just know each time I'm going to lock the door. So I'm done with the problem.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's all. Figure out, here's what I want
Gotcha.
you to do. And I know I'm like, Margie, listen to me. I want you to get back in control of your life and figure out what are your boundaries. Okay. What are your boundaries? And stick to them. And then she has to deal with how she feels about this. The stuff you talked about is
Yeah.
not causing her any danger. Okay. Sorry, I got to run. We got some other people
Okay.
that want to talk, but
Very
this is a
good. Thank you
great,
so much.
and thank you
Thank you so
for
much.
giving us a lot to think about. Okay.
All right.
This
Bye-bye.
is the Dr. Cloud Show. Margie has given us such a great example because what she's, and thank you, Margie, for playing with me in the role plays there for a little bit. But what she's talking about here is that you know if if our boundaries have to do with whether or not somebody's going to like them, then they aren't boundaries. It's like saying, oh, I'm going to put a I you know what I'm going to have a door to my house. I think I'll have a door to my house. That's a boundary. I think I might put a lock on that door unless somebody doesn't like that have a door and then a neighbor comes by. So why do you have a door in your house? We can't see in your, don't you care about it? Aren't we close? Well, see, if you're gonna define who you are by whether or not somebody else likes it, those aren't boundaries. And you can start to see how squishy your personhood gets if you lose control of what defines you. Now, I don't want you to also be so dadgum rigid that you can't maybe open up the door if somebody wants you to. It just depends on who's on the other side. But you can't define your boundaries by somebody having a response to them like that. Okay, very, 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 very good. Uh, Great issue. If we could learn this, you don't define yourself by somebody's responses. You inform yourself by their responses. And sometimes we change. They're right. Sometimes people's criticism is correct and it would help us to change. But when you're talking a pattern of somebody always berating your choices, that's not helpful criticism. Okay, there's a lot about this on boundaries.me, by the way. If you go there and check that out, you find a lot, so many courses have different nuances of dealing with this very issue. Boundaries.me. Okay, let's go to Melissa in Austin, who's calling us about a family issue. Melissa, thank you for your call. How can I help you?
Hi. I'll be brief as possible. In 2015, my mom died.
Ooh,
2016, my dad died.
ooh, I'm sorry.
2017, my nephew, who I adore, died. Then my dog died. And I found out my husband was cheating on me for years. And I had a lot of stress and anxiety because I had absolutely no support during this time, not even a hug or, hey, are you okay?
From whom?
From my family. My family.
Who's that?
My husband and our ex-husband now, and my children. And
Oh,
so my kids weren't
your
raised this
immediate
way.
family. Okay. How old are your kids?
They're
Ha-
17 to 24.
17,
And so
24.
I was
Okay.
I have 4 kids. Started having panic attacks.
I
Well,
can see why. It's a lot of
yeah,
loss
I
in a
mean,
short amount of time.
emotional. Heck yeah. So before we got divorced, my husband chose to tell my children that when I had my panic attacks, that I was having drug withdrawal and that I was a drug user. And now my kids don't speak to me. I text them, they don't respond. I call them, they don't respond. You know, everything. And
Where's
I
your
don't know what else to
17-year-old
do.
live? Where does your 17-year-old live?
She moved in with her dad.
Her dad. Do you know why?
No, because I'm assuming it's because he told her that I did drugs. And I was having withdrawals,
How long ago?
but she just took off from me.
How long
I've been
ago
divorced
did she?
2 months.
She moved out.
She moved out with
2
his
months
dad
ago.
last year. But my divorce
But wait a minute.
was
But
final 2 months
this has been
ago.
a year. It's been a year, and you said I don't know why she moved out. I assume. And like, how can it be a year
Well,
where you're estranged and don't know why she moved out?
because she won't talk to me. She won't talk to me at all. So I'm assuming that's the reason. Because he's just kind of alienated my kids from me.
What kind of relationship did you have with your kids before he said you were a drug addict?
Very close. We were loving. I loved yous, hugs. My whole family was raised. We were just a happy, go lucky love fest. I don't know. But now my kids don't say I love you. They don't say anything.
Well, they don't say anything.
I mean,
You said they don't respond to you at all. You're ghosted, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you,
So,
Melissa. On the surface, what you're saying is really, really, really difficult to metabolize.
yeah.
Because generally, I mean, when parents and kids have a really good, honest, close, supportive relationship, and kids are getting a lot of goodies that feel good in that relationship, and things are good. And then one thing happens for the kid to totally 100% turn into what sounds like almost a character problem. That's
Mhm.
very, 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 very uncommon, shall we say. It's like
Yeah.
most kids would say, well, that doesn't, well, mom, I mean, I live with mom, are you on drugs? You know, or mom, or they would want to do an intervention, or they would whatever. But to say that everything was perfect before then and then it went to ghosting, I kind of I
I
have
was
to
very
question what it was like before then.
I was very close with my children. My whole family was close.
And they just flipped.
Yeah, when I found out my husband was having an affair for years, um,
Okay.
he
All
just
right. So
kind of went on
you've
to
gone
tell them I was a drug addict.
you, you've gone through a lot of loss. You've gone through some false accusations. He's ripped up your family, apparently. What?
Yeah.
Tell me,
Uh-huh.
tell me how I can help. Because here's one thing I do want to. I think I have some help for you. Suggestion, but tell me
Okay.
how I can help you. Tell me how I can help you.
I I try to call them and they don't answer. I text them, they don't answer. I've emailed them letters, they don't answer. And
Okay.
I'm at a loss these are my beautiful children. What has happened?
Yeah, I don't know from
I
the
don't
way
know
you
if I
described
still
it.
need to do it. I don't
Well,
know
you
how
don't you don't
still
probably
contact them or
the
not.
way you've done it probably hasn't working. But let me ask you a question. Who is your support slash healing slash organize your recovery and get healthy team?
My sister who lives about 3.5 hours from me, and then I have a therapist here in Austin.
Oh, you do have a therapist.
Yes, I do.
Great. Okay. And do you have a support group as well?
A little at my church. It's been hard with the COVID thing, that not meeting, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the first thing I want you to do is because you're living in a vacuum with your family. There's nothing coming in, right? They're not loving you, supporting you, taking you through this, and that, the other. They've shut you out. So I want you to really
Right.
work on developing that spiritual family and support network. You can even talk to your therapist
Uh-huh.
about maybe how can I expand my support that I have holding me up in this time. Okay. So I would want
Mhm.
you to really, really, really work on that. In relation to your kids specifically, if you have tried and you want to talk to them, this, that, and the other, um, and that hasn't worked, is there anybody that is outside of your little family that has a lot of leverage and influence with your children? Somebody they love,
Um,
respect.
that would have been my mom and dad, but they're gone now.
Okay, anybody else?
No,
There's no one anywhere that you have a relationship with and they have a relationship with that you both respect and love.
N- no, nobody.
Wow. This is a very insulated family. Not you know what I mean? Not like
But
connected to a community.
we used to be so close. All them growing up, we did everything.
No,
I
no, no,
mean,
no.
together. We were.
You're repeating what I just said. That it was just a family, right? You did everything together.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is, it's
yeah.
not like when I think of a family, I think of we're connected to extended family, cousins and all of that, or spiritual
Mhm.
family. There's other couples. Like if my kids had a problem with me and it broke down, there would be friends in our circles that they would be able to go to help reconcile it. It sounds like there's nobody in the extended community that
No, there's
this
not.
family is very insulated. Okay. That's one of the reasons I want you to focus on the big task right now is building a community to help you heal. Okay. That's really, really important.
Yeah.
But B, here's what I would try. If there's nobody you can appeal to like that, then they aren't talking to you directly. What I would do is I'd find a good counselor, okay, a good family counselor or whoever you choose. Your therapist could help you with this, and I would set up an appointment, okay, and I would say, um, I'm really sorry that our relationship is broken down like it has. I would really like to understand how I've hurt you, if I've hurt you, or what the problem is. We haven't been able to talk about it, so I've made an appointment with somebody, with a therapist, to help us with this, and I would invite them to that, or it could be a pastor or whoever. But I would set up an
Mhm.
external event that they may see as more neutral, but that they would have to accept or reject instead of just avoid you. That's what I would try and see if that helps.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
they would just not show up. But I will
I
try
don't,
because I'll do anything to get my children
yeah,
back.
try that. And just from
Yeah.
there, you can just continue to invite and we'll see what happens. I can't imagine that it won't go sour on the other end. If there's that much,
Yeah.
if something's going to blow up on the other end and for them in their life or something, or with who knows what they're doing, I don't know. But they're not on a path that we see blossoming into springtime flowers. Okay, so you can take a stance that is ready for the opportunity when they do need you or reach out. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Well,
you
I
for your
really
call.
appreciate it. Thank you so.
You are.
Thank you so much.
You're
Have
welcome.
a good day. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye. Tough issues when we've had a few instances today where it feels like the other person just has so much power in the relationship, and they actually do have power over themselves, what they'll choose to do and not do. But the best thing we can do, remember the old serenity prayer? Help me change the things I can change and give me the courage to change things I can change. And, the ability to surrender the things I can't change and the wisdom to know the difference. That wisdom to know the difference is a boundary clarification prayer. The wisdom to draw the boundaries on what do I have control of? What do I have influence over? What area can I do something about? Well, one area we can always do something about is what lives inside of our heads. No one has control of that. Let me say that again. No one has control of what goes on inside your head. They're your thoughts. God has given you that property. I remember one time when my daughter Olivia was in she must have been in the fourth grade or so. She had this pretty strict teacher and homework, and she would get anxious sometimes the night before. I can't sleep, and so she called out of her room, like, "Daddy, Daddy, I can't sleep!" And so I go in there. So I said, "Okay, Olivia, here's what I want you to do. I want you to picture, okay, you're lying in the field, and I want you to picture these sheep jumping over the fence, okay, and count them and never stop. Count them until the morning. You just keep counting them." She goes, "Okay." So she closed her eyes, and so I leave her room. 5 minutes later, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy!" She calls me back in. I said, "Olivia, what is the problem?" She said, "My sheep keep crashing into the fence." I said, "Well, make them jump over the fence." She goes, "I can't. They keep crashing into the fence." I go, "Olivia, they're your sheep. These are your sheep, kiddo. Make them jump over the fence." Sometimes we're so used to just accepting whatever thoughts come. Now I understand extreme problems. I'm a psychologist, right? If you have intrusive obsessive OCD, and that, so it takes a little more than this. But my point is, it's like Viktor Frankl said, ultimately human freedom is something that lives inside of us that nobody can take away. As he wrote, even when you're imprisoned, your internal world is still your world. That's what's holy. And that's where we started out today, talking about the treasures within one's soul. It's like Jesus said, don't fear man who can only destroy the body. Fear God. Because your life is internal. And see, here's the paradox. Everybody wants their external life to change so they'll feel good internally. If mom would treat me this way, I could be happy. Okay? If, then I could be happy. That's not the way it works. We don't have control over all that. And people that then get the if, then they're still not happy because they're still out of control of their internal world. It's our own feelings, attitudes, behaviors, choices, talents, desires, limits, thoughts. Those are the treasures, and you are the steward over what lives inside of your property. And when you get control of those, and those are being watered and nurtured and cared for and grown and increased, then as the tree is flourishing, it grows, and then it starts to have all of this fruit in the external world. But because you're taking care of your growth, you're taking care of your internal world before God. Don't depend on the outside world to change enough to be happy. Work on the world that you have the closest relationship to. And that's your own heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then that will express itself externally. Okay. I wish we had more time. It's great hanging out with you guys. Thank you to our callers who give us topics to talk about, situations to identify with. I think we all identify with something that was said today. So appreciate that. You guys are the greatest audience in the world. You know, you show that every day on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube as you comment and help each other and support each other and correct me when I get it wrong and all those things. So you are the best. And I want you to grow as well by sharing the program with others. If you do that, we'll build a bigger audience here and a movement of happiness and thriving. And let's do that together. And I'm committed to that with you. Okay. And don't forget, if you want to learn more about everything that goes into everything we talk about here, go to boundaries.me, boundaries.me, become a subscriber, join the army. Okay. All right, guys. Tomorrow we'll be back at, I guess what is sort of our regular time, 1 p.m. Pacific, but sitting on the web 24/7, you can always find us. Okay. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.